The Seahawks are back on the road for Week 3 to face a familiar opponent in the Minnesota Vikings. What's up, 12s? Jackie Montgomery with your Week 3 game preview. Well, Seattle is looking to bounce back after their disappointing loss this past week, but they have another tough challenge ahead. Sunday marks the home opener for the Vikings, and they sit at 0-2 on the season, so they're looking for that big first win in front of their home crowd. But don't be fooled by the Vikings' record. Both losses were in close games, with Minnesota losing by 4 points combined.
Really crucial week for us to get back on track and bounce back. We know that our opponent is in the same mode, and whoever does the best job this week, getting ready and preparing and all of that, have the best chance to win. So the practice is really important this week. The Vikings have been very explosive on offense, been very efficient in scoring and throwing the ball all over the place and running the ball well. So it's a very difficult challenge for the defense. And Mike has always been hard, with what he does on defense for them. So it's a really tough matchup, their first home game, all that kind of stuff. I am glad that we've been on the road in a stadium similar. They're different and unique in their own ways, but still, I'm glad that our guys have, the Indy trip helped us in preparation for this week. So we'll try to use that.
Another week, another top running back the Seahawks will have to stop, with the Vikings' offensive scheme centered around fifth-year back Dalvin Cook. Cook is coming off back-to-back 1,000-plus yard seasons despite playing in just 14 games both years. Cook did injure his ankle late in the team's loss last week, but Vikings head coach Mike Zimmer said this week Cook's workload will remain the same.
They run a very similar scheme than the Titans did. I think the biggest thing, he's obviously a little more quicker, still hits the holes. They still, they give him the rock a lot, and he is very fast. So, if you're not in your gap and you're not gas sound, it's kind of different. Derrick Henry, he might run through or he might, run you over, whatever. But, if you blink, he might be through that hole. And so we have to be very gap sound. We have to know when they're going to give him the ball and, understand he's the guy that kind of gets everything going. Once they establish that run game, it opens up their playbook. So, if we can stop that, then we can stop a big portion of their playbook.
Vikings quarterback Kirk Cousins remains as consistent as ever. In the team's 1-point loss to the Arizona Cardinals last week, he completed 22 of his passes for 244 yards and 3 touchdowns, good for a 122.4 passer rating, which moved him into second place all-time in the NFL for consecutive games with a passer rating of 90 or more.
He looks terrific. He's throwing all of the throws, whether it's the drop back stuff or the action stuff, on the edge. He uses the whole field. He uses all the rhythms. They're good in the quick game. They're good down the field on their play passes, and he's got guys that he can go to that make things happen on the edge outside. So he's looked really good, and he's accurate, and his arm is strong, and he's taken off a couple times and made some yards. So this is I see him as good as I've ever seen him. I think he looks that sharp starting the season.
The Vikings receiving core features 8-year veteran Adam Thielen and a couple of second-year players in KJ Osborne and Justin Jefferson. The Vikings like to spread the ball out. They are the only team in the NFL with 3 receivers, all with at least 10 catches, 130-plus receiving yards, and a touchdown.
Those guys are really good. Me being in that division for so long, I played against these guys. I mean, every year I've been in the league, and of course Thielen's always going to be one of the better receivers, and Justin Jefferson and KJ Osborne, those guys are making plays too. So it's big time. I think Justin Jefferson, in my opinion, he was the best rookie in the league last year, and I got a lot of respect for his game. A lot of respect for what he does. And KJ Osborne, he's been coming on this past year, and he's making some plays. And you can see how they have faith and they believe in him from watching the Arizona game.
Looking at the Vikings defense, they are stacked on every level. One of their top players, defensive end Danielle Hunter, is back on the field after missing all of 2020, recovering from a neck injury. He's one of the fiercest edge rushers in the league, recording double-digit sacks in 3 out of the last 4 seasons he's played. Already this season, he's accounted for 4 sacks, which ranks second in the NFL.
He's got 4 sacks already. He's flying, and he's hungry for it. You can tell he's really coming off the ball well, and he's had a couple of those 4 that were just effort sacks. That when the quarterback was moving and it wasn't just a pure pass rush win. He's playing really hard. He's a terrific player.
The Vikings have linebacker Eric Kendricks in the middle of the field, who is second in the NFL in tackles, only behind Bobby Wagner. They also have an impressive secondary lineup that boasts Harrison Smith and some new faces in veterans Xavier Woods and Patrick Peterson.
Obviously, Coach Zimmerman, he's a great coach. He knows what he's doing. He gets everybody in the right spots. I think Harrison Smith is one of the best players in football. Just how explosive of a player he is on the defensive side of the ball. He's extremely intelligent. Number 22 drives everything back there. Obviously, Hunter is a premier pass rusher. Arguably one of the best in the game. Kendricks has been doing it for years. So they have a lot of guys. And then obviously the addition of Patrick Peterson, they brought some other great players back and this and that. So I think the biggest thing is their experienced defense. Their experienced defense that's been there for a while and knows what their intent is and how they're trying to play the game. And so we got to be on our A game. Got to bring our best game.
Looking at the Seahawks, Pete Carroll is looking to get the run game more involved after being held to just 77 yards in the last outing.
I would like us to be able to run the ball better in the fourth quarter. Yeah, I wish that was happening when you get ahead. It's nice to be able to do that, and it's always been the way that we love to finish games. And so I'm just hoping that we'll continue to develop so that when we need it, we can go to it. And that's why balance is so important. And that's why you guys always want to know, you talk about the running game. Well, there's a reason why. It's really nice when you can pound the clock down and own the finish of the football game. And it just hasn't happened as well as we would like. We've been ahead in both those games, and we need to just finish this last one better than we did.
But really, as a whole, the team is focused on fixing the mistakes from last week so they can play better on all fronts for a full 60 minutes.
Getting back to us, getting back to competition, competing with each other, making each other better today, and then, we'll worry about tomorrow. But right now, it's just everybody needs to get better at something to make sure that we're all better collectively on Sunday.
Well, I mentioned this is a familiar team, including the postseason. Seattle and Minnesota have faced off 8 out of the last 10 seasons, with Seattle winning 7 consecutive games. All right, well, kickoff is set for 1:25 p.m. Pacific. You can watch it live on Fox, or you can listen to it on the Seahawks radio network.